Hello everyone, my name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD89, VA Claims Consulting, Leave No Vet Behind, and also I'm a United States Army veteran. Today I'm bringing you another educational video as it pertains to the VA disability compensation claims process, and today I'm going to be discussing my top 5 claim conditions that are easy for veterans to obtain service connection for. But before I get into those 5, I want to say these are my top 5 picks, and by no way am I saying that you still, one of these conditions, they still have to fall under one of the 5 ways of service connection, okay? And I've talked about that in one of my previous videos, the 5 different ways of service connection, okay? So the first one is tinnitus, or AKA ringing in the ears. Second one, PFB, folliculitis barbae. Excuse me if I pronounce that wrong, but it's a shaving or skin irritation on the face, under the chin, on the back of the neck, okay? The next 3 are not actual conditions, but there are several conditions that may fall under one of these 3, okay? So the third one, being awarded the Purple Heart, okay? Number 4, being awarded the parachute badge and or an air assault badge. And number 5, presumptive, okay? So I'm gonna go through, give a brief description of each one. I do cover the presumptive, all the different presumptives in my monthly educational videos, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail because that'll be about a 45, 50-minute video, okay? So tinnitus, ringing in the ears. Years ago, the VA you had to meet 3 thresholds: low, medium, and high. And if you didn't fall within the medium or high, you wouldn't even get an exam unless, you were claiming it due to combat or something like that. But if you were claiming it due to your MOS, the military occupational specialty, and I think the Navy calls it something else like a rate or something like that. But anyway, if you're claiming tinnitus, ringing in the ear due to your job, years ago, you had to fall within the medium and high category, that MOS, okay? Now, it doesn't matter. If you're claiming it due to MOS and it falls within the low, medium, high, then you can be awarded as a compensation and pension exam, okay? Now, the thing of this is, a lot of veterans don't know you have to have been exposed to acoustic trauma, okay? And you may say, I'll give you some examples, like a cook. Like, what is what kind of noise is a cook exposed to? One, the secondary MOS for that cook is an infantryman. Everybody in the Army, I don't know about the other branches, but in the Army, you have, you get training, you go to AIT and you get training on the job that you pick from MEPS. But your secondary MOS, it may not show it on your DD-214, is an infantryman, because when you go to basic, you learn how to throw a grenade, you learn how to, basic rifle marksmanship, all the basic things that that you need to know if you have to, be deployed to a forward area or something like that. So acoustic trauma, everybody's exposed to it. Like I said, you may think of, I'll just use a cook for example. Well, if you're a cook and let's just say you're in a combat arms unit, you're going on field maneuvers with that unit. If they get deployed to a comeback zone, you're getting deployed with them. Any field training missions you have to go on. And also, you may not think about this, if you ever walk past a mess hall early in the morning when those cooks are in there cooking, I mean, you hear pots, pans clanking, banging, and I'm like, man, this is loud, and that's acoustic trauma. Now, other MOSs, if you especially maintenance, if you're working on vehicles, in the Air Force, if you're working on the flight line, if you're in the Navy and you're working on a flight deck, or you're at a naval station where you're working on a flight line and planes are landing and taking off, or you're in a combat arms unit, infantry, armor, artillery, or even if you're MP and you're at the range, you go to range regularly. That is an example of being exposed to acoustic trauma, okay? In the second part of tinnitus, I want to share, if you were treated in service and given a diagnosis of tinnitus and you claim it, okay? And let's say you've been out more than a year and you go to the competent exam and a doctor gives you a negative opinion and that rating specialist denies tinnitus, that is an error, because the manual reference states if a veteran is seen in service for tinnitus, now they only need a diagnosis. So if there's a diagnosis of it, that's automatic grant. The reason why I know it, I think the second time I did a rating for tinnitus that happened to me, I denied it based off the examiner saying given a negative opinion. They pulled it for a quality review. Bam, I got slapped with a quality error. I never forget it. And I checked this reference last night and it's still there, okay? So number 2, PFB. And by no means am I saying, when I say number 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm not putting one before the other, just in the sequence that I'm speaking of them, okay? So number 2, PFB, folliculitis barbae. Now, you'll see this in the majority of African-American males, okay? But, I've seen some women get service-connected for it, so it doesn't mean that it's just African-American males, but anybody that's been diagnosed with it. I was able to get service-connected for it, and the reason why I say this is one of the easiest ones, I think, is because if you have a profile, okay, if you had some shaving issues, more than likely you've had a profile while you were in service. I think the Marines, I hear they kick you out if you have PFB. They don't even give you a profile, But if that's the case, if you have a profile or you're a Marine and they kick you out for having PFB because you can't shave and they don't give profiles for it, there's documentation for it. And we all know that never goes away. Now mine is very mild, but if I take a straight razor or an actual big razor or something and shave, oh man, I'm bumping up. I can get away with maybe going to the barber and they're using some type of aloe vera and use a straight razor and go in one direction. I did that a couple of times, but let me tell you, over the next, couple of days, my skin was getting tight. I was putting alcohol, bump control, all type of, different chemicals to make sure I didn't bump up, but I could feel my face starting to get tight, and it did turn reddish color. It was because it was irritated. And I was like, you know what? No more. I can only use clippers, and I have to go in a certain direction. Okay. So if you have a profile, okay, for that skin condition, then that's easy to get service connection for. Now, I've actually seen some doctors that stated that even though they denied it, gave a negative opinion and denied it, saying that you had it in service, it's all cleared up now. I don't know anybody that had PFB that it just went away. Like, having a back strain or a knee strain or something, it just goes away and never to return. Back strains, they do return. But, having a condition, that's one of those diagnoses that, it may go in remission or you may have to do extensive proactive treatment or something so that it doesn't happen, but it never goes away. Because if I was to shave with a straight razor and just using some regular shaving cream, I'm gonna bump up really bad. So I don't do that. So you can fight that. I've seen people fight it and win it on high-level review, or I know it as appeals, but it's still one of the easiest one I think that you can get service connected for, okay? Number 3, being awarded the parachute badge, okay? When you go to airborne, you have to jump. You have to make certain jumps, right? And then even if you are assigned to an airborne unit, say Fort Bragg, okay? You have to make jumps every month to stay on jump status, okay? unless, the Army changed it since I've been out, but you have to make certain jumps. At least, I think back then it was a minimum 1 jump a month to get jump pay and stay on jump status. But what's key about this is I want people to understand those jumps, you may sprain your ankle a little bit, hit your knee, it may hurt, roll your hip, or, land wrong and, hurt your back or neck, or, if you're laying incorrectly, you have a tendency to put your arms out in front of you. You may have a wrist issue, or elbow, or shoulder, okay? But what I want people to understand, and I don't know about the other branches, but in the Army, once you get to a certain level, that first sergeant, platoon sergeant, first sergeant don't want you going on sick call. If you're NCO, they say, oh, you look weak if you do that. And so you just suck it up, okay? So there's certain conditions, especially joints, that you can claim to being awarded the parachute badge, okay? And with all these, you have to make sure your wording is correct when you claim them, okay? That's key, okay? If you were never seen in service for a back and you just say, I'm claiming a back condition, because you're thinking, yep, I went through airborne school, got the airborne patch, that's it. No, you have to let them know that. That's how you're claiming it. So I always tell individuals, and veterans, and even my clients, it's in the wording, okay? So just keep that in mind. Number 4, being awarded the parachute badge. Yeah, I'm sorry, not parachute. Being awarded the Purple Heart, okay? So if you were awarded the Purple Heart, what that means is you got injured during combat. And more than likely, that should be in your medical records. For some reason, if you don't have it, if you remember what you were awarded that Purple Heart for, even if you have the citation itself, if it explains it in there, you could send that in along with your claim, but you got hurt. So that's an injury. And even though it still could be documented in your service treatment records, but let's just think of Vietnam vets that possibly didn't get documented in their records. Not saying that it did or it didn't, I'm just saying it's a possibility that it's not there. But the fact of the matter is, you were awarded that Purple Heart. So those conditions are a lot easier to win because you were awarded that Purple Heart for a reason, okay? So definitely keep that in mind. And again, wording is key. So the last one, presumptive. Now there's several presumptives out there, okay? But I'm going to talk about the ones that I think that are extremely easy. And those are the 1 year, 2 year, 1 year, 3 year, and 7 years, okay? And I'll even throw in Agent Orange exposure and Camp Lejeune contaminated water, okay? Now, for all presumptives, there's still criteria that needs to be met, okay? And I'll go over it a little bit. Like I say, I go over these in depth in my educational training, so I'll just briefly give a couple examples, okay? So let's just take Agent Orange example, Agent Orange exposure. If you were in the military during a certain time frame, you had boots on ground in Vietnam, okay, and you have one of the conditions listed in 38 CFR 3.309E, tropical diseases. Let's just take one of those, diabetes, or take it back. Let's take prostate cancer. Prostate cancer, you have, on your DD-214, it shows that you had boots on ground, you're in Vietnam, it's confirmed, you have a diagnosis of prostate cancer confirmed by a biopsy. It has to be confirmed by a biopsy. Then you still will get a comp and pen exam, okay? And that's just to figure out the residuals, okay? And to see where do you fall. If it's active, then of course you'll be awarded 100%. If it's in remission, then it's based off the residuals. How many times you void during the day, how many times you void at night, do you have to wear absorbent materials, et cetera, et cetera. But for what we're talking about, if you have evidence that, confirmed evidence that you had boots on ground in Vietnam, okay, and you have a diagnosis of prostate cancer, confirmed by a biopsy. Okay, just not maybe some symptoms, but an actual biopsy showing confirmation. Okay, so you definitely want to keep that in mind. Now, the 1-year presumptives. I'm not going to go through the whole list because there's a lot of them. I'm going to leave the link to the 38 CFR in the description. So you'll have to, when you click on the link, you'll see all these CFRs. And you're going to have to scroll down to 38 CFR 3.309. When you click on it, it's going to bring up a Word document, okay? And then you'll see 3.309A, E is tropical diseases, and then I believe F is Camp Lejeune contaminated water, okay? And it'll give you a list of all those conditions. So 1 year, if you've been out of the service less than 1 year and you have a claim, you get a diagnosis of one of those conditions on that list, and it's to a compensable degree, you can get service connected for it. One of those, diabetes. Diabetes has to be confirmed by 2 A1C tests, okay? Now, what that means is you just got out of the military June 1st. You go to the doctor today, they confirm a diagnosis of diabetes. Just to be on the safe side, I would get another A1C test because they say that's a requirement. Of the VA says that's a requirement. So you had 2 confirmed A1C tests, then you claim it. Again, wording is key because you're not claiming it on a direct basis. You're claiming it on a presumptive basis, but a 1-year presumptive. So the wording is key because if you just say I'm claiming diabetes, I guarantee you somebody at the VA is going to say, okay, well, this vet is not a Vietnam vet. Let me look through the records, through the military medical records. Not treated for diabetes in there. And if they're new and unfamiliar with this particular 38 CFR, they could deny it. And then you will have to fight it. So be proactive. Make sure you use the correct wording to lead them down the path that you want them to go because you know how you're claiming it, okay? So that's very key. A 3-year presumptive is tuberculosis. And the 7-year presumptive is multiple sclerosis. I'm sorry, that brain freeze there. But 3 years tuberculosis and 7-year is multiple sclerosis. Again, you want to confirm diagnosis. I'm not talking about you're showing symptoms, you have an actual confirmed diagnosis and it reaches to a compensable degree. Now you may say, well, how do I know the requirements or the criteria for a compensable degree? Then you get the diagnostic code criteria. You go to the diagnostic code criteria for those conditions and you look under 10%, boom, there it is. If you meet that requirements, then it's good to go. Now all these may sound like a lot, it's not. You can find the diagnostic code relatively easy, and once you find it, you go to that criteria. You know if you meet one of these criteria as it pertains to the presumptive, and you look it up, probably take you 5 minutes at the most, okay? But it's just a matter of you having your wording right, you having all your evidence showing that diagnosis, and you submit it, okay? So just to recap, the first one was tinnitus, second one was PFB, third one was being awarded the parachute badge, the fourth one being awarded the Purple Heart, and fifth is the presumptive 1 year, 3 year, 7 year, Agent Orange, and Camp Lejeune. Okay, so Agent Orange and Camp Lejeune, they have time frames, time periods, okay? So that's key. But if you meet all the criteria and you have that diagnosis, confirmed diagnosis, not pre-symptoms, but an actual confirmation of that diagnosis, I think that on a presumptive basis, those are definitely some easy conditions to win, okay? So again, these are just my top 5 that I picked that I think veterans can be very successful in winning service connection under these bases, maybe, the first time around. But you still have to make sure they fall under one of the 5 ways of service connection. Your wording is right, and if you need a confirmed diagnosis, having that as well, and you're 95% home. Now, keep in mind, we're dealing with the VA. I've seen a lot of vets told no on these specific conditions when they do meet it, okay? So it may be a little bit of a fight, but for the most part, in my past experience, what I've seen, these are the ones that I feel that veterans can win relatively easy, okay? So again, I'm gonna put that 38 CFR 3.309 link in the description section below. Remember, when you click on it, it's gonna give you a laundry list of regulations. You're gonna scroll down to 3.309, okay? Definitely keep that in mind. When you click on it, a Word document is gonna pop up. So I hope you enjoyed this video. So please like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you can be notified when I upload another educational video. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your service, and continue to be safe. Thank you.